I call to order this regular scheduled meeting. It is September 8th, 2025. This meeting of the Thornapple Kellogg Board of Education. We are in the Early Childhood Center in the boardroom. Can I have a roll call of the board, please?
Price?
Here.
Hilton?
Here.
Stanton? Here. Hess? Here. Winger?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Rock?
Here. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Smith and a support by Mr. Winger. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you, Board. Public input. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Members of the public may address the Board of Education during public comment for up to 3 minutes. Speakers will be recognized by the presiding officer and are asked to state their name, address, and group affiliation if applicable. As a reminder, all comments shall be directed to the board and not to staff or other participants. No participant may speak more than once. Participants may not behave in a manner that is disruptive to the orderly conduct of the meeting. The Board of Education does not respond to public comment. The superintendent will follow up with speakers when appropriate. At this time, we will begin public comment. Is there someone that would like to speak? All right, last chance for this one. We do have one at the end of the meeting as well. Would anyone like to speak? All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the consent grouping. Looking for a motion to approve the consent grouping items.
I'll make a motion to approve the items of the consent grouping 3A through 3D.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Winger and support by Mr. Price. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Thank you, Board. Next section is our board items for information, and we have a representative from the Thornapple Area Enrichment Foundation to give us an update. Yes.
Push. Oh, we're
There you
good.
go. Thank you.
I always think when there's low attendance at the board meetings, that means you guys are off to a good start. There's no issues going on. So glad to see things are going well, Mr. Pouch. I am Robin Walters, for those of you who don't know me. I'm an alumni here, and my kids are alumni, my siblings are alumni. And I'm here with some fellow board members representing the Thornapple Area Enrichment Foundation. Debbie Tomko, former teacher here. Annie Holly, who's our representative from the Berry Community Foundation, most of you should know. Becky Zellmer, Chris Marchakaitis. Did I forget anybody? I think that's it. We're in. Okay. So we just like to come once or twice a year just to touch base, make sure you guys remember that we're out here supporting the schools. Let us know if you need anything. We're very well known for scholarships at the end of the year for the graduates, and former TK alumni also can apply for those, you know, as they go through their 4 years. We typically give out 47 scholarships honors night. It's kind of a long-winded thing, totaling over $59,000. And so we're really proud of that. We are helping our kids be successful in their next steps. But more than that, we like to focus on the actual classrooms here and the students that are here at TK. Little bit about TK historically, TAF, I'm sorry. We were established in 1992. There was just one donation that came in from a lady who was a TK alumni. The last name was Poland. Last name was different when she married, and I can't pronounce it, but she had $30,000 she wanted to give to the school, and the school board decided to start this foundation so that it was separate from your budget that you work in. And so here we are, I don't know how many, 33 years later, and we have over 60 funds and assets that are at 3.1 million. So I've only been involved 3 years. I have nothing to do with any of that, but we're really proud of the work that we do to support the Middleville area, our communities, and also our schools. Although we serve the greater community, our primary focus has been the TK School District. We typically gift around $14,000 a year to the classrooms. Last year, between classrooms and other programming, we gave $22,000. And our chair previously told me that was about 3,000 students that we impacted last year with our dollars, so that's nice to know. Our large grants are open right now through October 1st, and so we're encouraging staff to apply for those, and I think we do have some coming in. They're doing a good job. We give major kudos to the teachers, the educators who apply for the grants, because the activities that we support typically are above and beyond the normal scope of classroom curriculum, and they provide fantastic opportunities for the kids in our district. So our goal is to be able to fund 100% of all the asks that come in. We typically have to turn some away because there's always more need than we have money, but we annually have a trivia night, which is where we generate these funds in the winter. And we're actually, with the help of Chris Marchakaitis, who's taken over our fund development fundraising, we have added 3 other events this year. So we expect by next year, you're gonna have lots and lots of money for the classroom. And so we really encourage you guys to consider participating, coming out, it's always fun, but our newest and next fundraiser will be on November 8th, and we're having a euchre night. So that'll be a fun November activity. And then, of course, in the winter, we always have our trivia night that I mentioned, and we're planning a pickleball tournament next summer out at Gun Lake, which is gonna be huge and really a lot of fun. So that is us in a nutshell, unless you guys have questions. Good, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
do.
the information.
I'm gonna give you reading material and everything else. Thanks, Robin. You bet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robin, appreciate it.
You are welcome.
Mark, if you're going to participate, make sure you stretch. All right. Thank you again to Robin and the great TAEF and all the great things they do for our community and our kids here. We really appreciate you guys and the time you give to helping each student that you can. Our next item for board items for information would be the Human Resources Department update. Mr. Washburn?
Thank you. Now, stand here and talk into this, or? Walk with that one. I think I'm going to walk with this one. Test. Okay, thank you. This is even better. Okay, here we go. Where's the camera? Hey, Mom. I made it. Okay, so I appreciate Rob asked me to put together a recruitment and hiring handbook for the district, and I think a lot of us have been doing, this is just awkward, a lot of this already, but I think that what I appreciate about Rob is he just wanted to make sure that we have systems in place. So I'm only going to take maybe 5 minutes, go through this a little bit. It's based on Board Policy 3120, Employment of Professional Staff, and Administrative Guideline 3120A. So everything that's part of this handbook is right in line with the policy and the administrative guidelines. Okay, so the number one thing that I think that we can do as a district is hiring the right people and hiring the right fit of people. And you hire the right people and it's got such an impact on kids. So that's the most important thing I feel like we do, that we need to do in the district. And then retaining our quality staff. One of the things that Megan and I are going to be doing with all of our new teachers is try to have monthly meetings or quarterly meetings, just checking in with them. How are they doing? What are some struggles that you're having? How can we help support and mentor you? Because I think our jobs, and I'm an old guy, I've been here 23 years, all this gray hair on the side. When I was here, it was blonde. When I first started, now it's gray. So I know how hard teachers work, and I know how hard it is. So we're going to try to be that, even if it's an event session or anything, but have those monthly meetings set up with new teachers to see how we can help, guide them and let them know that they're in this and we're in this together with them and support them. So we're going to do that. I think open recruitment both within and outside the school district. We use PowerSchool applicant tracking. Make sure that we have clear job descriptions for all positions, including the titles, responsibilities, who they would be assigned, or who their supervisors would be. And then also, we always want to promote within, if possible. And if we have candidates, internal or external, that are very similar or comparable, we're going to want to go with our internal candidates because that makes sense to us. Take care of our own. The selection process. Everything is going to be going through our HR department, and I'll look and I'll work with the building principals because, when Rob initially asked me to put something together, again, I've been a building principal for 23 years, and I'm like, I like doing my own thing. So I want to be very careful about not taking too much away from the building principals, but almost try to be a help to them. So when applications come in, I want to be that person, because if you're running a building, what you don't want to do is go through 200 applications for a position. So I'm going to be that person that's going to try to go through all those applications, talk to the building principals, the directors, to see what they're looking for, and then try to make sure that we're matching those needs to the best of our ability, but then also make sure that they're involved too. Then the applicants must sign an unprofessional conduct report form. We can't hire anybody without this. One of the things I think sometimes, maybe not that we miss, but it's very critical in the whole hiring process, is that investigation. So when you've got a couple good candidates, and I'm old school, I know everybody, text and email and everything else, but I think that it's very important that we make phone calls and we talk to the immediate supervisors of those people that we're hiring, because you can get so much from a phone call, either from what is said or what isn't said and how it's said. So I think that's a very critical part of this that I'm going to make sure is our team and then our administrative team, is that we really follow a strict process and protocol in that. So this would be how we're going to conduct interviews for, let's just say, a teacher. This would be non-principal, non-central office positions. Again, the applications are going to be routed through the HR department. Again, I'll consult with the principals to make sure that we're making sure that their needs are being met, what they're looking for in particular candidates. And then together we'll work through what is that hiring team going to look like? How many teachers are we going to have? Let's just say that it's a fourth grade teaching position. Make sure that we have those leaders on staff, that we want to be a part of that team, because that part of it is critical, not only to be part of the process, but then also to get their input on what they're looking for in a colleague, in a candidate. So then through that, this is where things may differ a little bit, but we really want to be consistent in what that interview process looks like. So it's going to be 3 rounds. It may not, these rounds may include but aren't limited to the following. And the first one to me is so important. It's that meet and greet session, what I would call a screening interview. That's where you have, I can remember, when we used to have 600-700 candidates for 2 teaching positions. We would just bring people in every 15 minutes, every 10 minutes. And that's that quick get to know you. And within 2 or 3 questions, I would say you kind of know if this person's going to be a good fit or not. So that'll be the first process. And my thing is always more is better. If you've got 30 people you're bringing in a day, great. Let's just line them up and we'll just go right through it. So that'll be the first part. We'll do a meet and greet, like a 15-minute screening interview. Then with that committee that we put together, we'll do a 30 or 40-minute just panel of questions. And that would be, I would also ask the teachers that are part of the team to give us questions that they're looking for too, just because it's very important, again, about fit. And then the final piece would be a performance task or a lesson presentation. So if we go back to that example of a 4th grade teacher, we would maybe bring in 6 or 7 kids and then have them teach a 10 or 15-minute lesson And then we would debrief with the candidate after the lesson. What'd you like? What would you do different? And then from there, then we would go through another 15, 20 minutes of questioning. And then after all of that, then I would, in consultation with the building principal or director, send candidates to Mr. Pouch. And I would always like to send at least 2 because you never know what's going to happen in an interview process. There could be, competition is really high right now, so one of the candidates that we may really like may be applying for other jobs, or, maybe Rob meets with one and it's like, I really want, this one seems to be a better fit based on his, initial questioning. So we would always want to send, I think, at least 2 to Rob. And then, he conducts the final interview, and then he would make the final recommendation to hire to the board. Okay? And then procedure is very similar. This would be for assistant principals, principals, central office positions. A little bit different in that the superintendent or designee will screen the candidates for an interview, and then the interview committee will consist of a board member, TK staff, which would be teachers or other administrators, and then parents. And then what I would envision is some type of round robin, like, the teachers and the administrators might be here, a board member here, parents on this, and then go through a different process that way. So we want to make sure that everybody's included in this process and that we have, everybody's opinions and voices are heard. Similar to the teaching staff, it will consist of 3 rounds, again, a screening interview, and then panel interview. And then, it wouldn't necessarily be a lesson presentation, but maybe we would give them, this would be up your alley, a bunch of M-STEP data or something, and then have them look for trends or things, weaknesses or strengths that they're looking at and how they could maybe help, with that particular building that we were looking at hiring. The committee then will participate in the interviews, independently evaluate the candidates for further consideration, and then again, the final recommendation would be the responsibility of the superintendent to present that candidate to the board. Okay? And then finally, this would just be the nitty-gritty once the offer is made. They would then go through all of the forms and the onboarding through the business and the HR department. So that's just kind of the final step that we would do. So again, at first I was like, I want to make sure that the principals know that this position isn't taking away from them, but it's going to enhance, I think, what we're doing. And then collectively, all of us are going to be having the same process, which I think is very important.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Washburn? Thank you, John, for all the work that you did. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next item is committee and liaison reporting. I know the policy committee met, which we have an item here on our board agenda a little bit later. Was there any other committees that met? No? TAPRC, Mark? No? All right. Oh, okay. You can get your mic, thanks.
Yeah, the TAPRC, we met several weeks ago, but it was more of a update on the information that we took from the survey. A lot of good input that they are working with their engineering firm to put together and finalize their 5-year plan.
Yep, great, thank you. I know that meeting's coming up, I think, later on the end of this month. So, appreciate that, Mark. All right, board items for action, the MASB voting delegates. Mr. Pouch, do you have more information on this one?
I do. I'm not sure how familiar the board is with this. It's kind of somewhat a complicated subject to explain. Essentially, each year, delegates or members from local boards of education can go to the general meeting of MASB up in Traverse City, and for simple terms, they can vote on different policies or items that they may have. So if we have a board member that is going to go to Traverse City, I believe it's first week or so in October, the board as a whole needs to designate the delegates. And I believe we can send up to 3 if board members are interested in going. I don't believe Thornapple Kellogg Schools has had a board member in the past couple years go. I know there are members in this room that have gone in the past, so this conversation, how long we talk about it, will depend whether or not we have a board member going to that event, and MASB sent information out. I believe Erica has sent some information out as well, and/or I have. So the first question is, do we have any board members that plan to go? If not, we will move on to item B. If we do have members that are going to go, the board just needs to pass a resolution affirming them as a delegate on behalf of the TK School Board.
Just so the board's aware, that's the same weekend, I believe, we have Friday and Monday off from school, and Michigan State weekend as well. So I personally did not plan on going, celebrate the long weekend with my family.
You don't have to be attending the whole meeting. You can go just for the delegate assembly, and just so you know that it's as much about helping to set MASB's philosophy and agenda for how they're gonna decide things and pursue different directions. So it's a lot of it is setting their direction. So that's not MASB in Lansing who sets the direction of MASB. It's the delegates who do.
Gotcha. Do you know what day the delegate assembly is, Dave, usually?
It's usually Thursday evening.
Gotcha.
Just before the conference.
Gotcha.
But I don't know what the dates are. I hadn't planned on going this year.
Okay.
It's Thursday, the 23rd at 7.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would be interested in going if it's on Thursday. There'd be a possibility that I would go up there, so.
Any other board members? Otherwise, Erica, you can help guide us. We just need a formal motion with a resolution. President Brock will not be committed to going. It just allows him to go on our behalf in the instance he does go, correct?
Okay. Great. Yeah, so before our next meeting, we definitely have to do it right now then. Yep. All right. I guess I'll make the motion. I'll motion that the Board of Education select Derek Brock as official voting delegate at the 2025 MASB Delegate Assembly.
I'll second that.
A motion by Brock and a second by Hilton. Any discussion?
Thank you for volunteering. Yes.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. The next item for action is the purchase of a couple buses. Mark?
All right, well, good evening. Yes, as you can see in front of you, we are looking to purchase up to 2 buses, guaranteed one, but the second one, we don't have we don't know if they're gonna total it at this point or not, but we do have a bus on standby from Holland Bus, should we need it. And I just want to do that because there's a lead time to get that, which could delay up to 6 weeks, and we are very short on buses. So that's where we're just looking to see if we could come to you ahead of time, should we need to go this route. But let me just dig into the first bus. As you know, May 28th, we experienced a pretty severe accident right towards the end of school year. We just now got information that bus, we knew it was gonna be totaled, but they finally are releasing the check. We're gonna get $40,000. We found a replacement bus, which seats 6 more students, going from a 29 to a 35 student capacity bus for $39,650. So great news on that. Then the bus too, like I said, that'll be conditional based on, what happens with that. Unfortunately, we had a bus accident just before the start of school, where we were T-boned right in front of Lee Elementary. And, right now, we just don't know the extent, but we do have a bus on standby, like I said. Now, as you notice, that bus is significantly more in cost, but also goes up from a 29 passenger to a 54. in talking with Chuck Walker, this would just allow for much more flexibility with our fleet to meet more needs that the district currently has. So we'll see what happens there, but just wanted to make sure that we could go ahead and purchase should need be. So other than that, I think that kind of covers it all. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
So is this the second bus that you're set on?
Yeah, that would be the second, and that would be in the amount of, yeah, 84,293. So the proposed motion would be, you know, for the
Those
two
two combined,
buses,
yeah.
not to exceed that 123,943. Right now, though, we're definitely looking to purchase the first one in the amount of 39,650.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions for Mark? All right, looking for a motion in regards to purchases of the buses.
A motion that the Board of Education approve the purchase of up to 2 used buses from Holland Business, or is it Bus Company?
Yeah, Holland
Not
Bus
to
Company.
exceed $123,943.
Support. We have a motion by Ms. Stanton, and support by Mr. Price. Any discussion on the motion? And that doesn't look like it's a roll call, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you, Board. All right, our next item on board, items for action, is related to board policies. There's been quite a bit of updates here. I think Rob can give us a little bit more detail on that as far as it's multiple updates, Rob?
Yes, thank you, President Brock. So kind of just want to give an overview for the audience and full board, just so we're all on the same page of our process and systems from the top down. So we use the policy provider that goes by the name of Neola. Neola is a middleman, if you will, that we pay them annually to provide us all of our policies. They work with a legal firm by the name of Varnum that helps vet through these policies. They take state and federal guidances and updates to public acts, and they roll out, on average, 2 policy updates a year. So what happens is the superintendent will meet with the Neola rep and go through the policies and the different options and discuss maybe court law or whatever it is that led to the changes. And then from there, in our system, it's the superintendent's responsibility to meet with the policy committee and then present those policy recommendations to the policy committee, who then in turn makes a recommendation to the full Board of Education. So just so we're all on the same page as far as, and to those in the audience, what our policy system and procedure looks like. We are a committee district, and policy committee is one of those committees that we utilize. So as far as these policies go, there's technically 3 updates here that we merged together, but yet they're separated in the notes here. So long story short, there were no policy updates last school year. Neola put out these 3 updates last school year: 39-1, 39-Edgar UGG, which is typically all federal dollars and federal grant spending related, and then also 39-2. So what seems like a lot of policies it's more than normal, but I've also seen Neola put out 30-plus policies in 1 update. So this is not out of the norm for a board to vet through this number of policies in this amount of time. So one of my goals is to continue to move this district forward, and part of that is having our policies as updated as possible. You don't want to get behind in these, or 24 can turn into 52 and 78, and next thing you know, you're in a hole you can never dig yourself out of. So it's essential that we brought these to the committee. So we met as a committee. I don't want to speak on the behalf of the committee. I'll turn it over then. But in general, that is how our policy review here works. As I know, we have multiple board members that this is the first time that they have been through this. And I wanted to at least explain how it works, that typically it's 10 to 12 updates. There's just a few more on this update. So as far as that system and our utilization of committees, I'm happy to answer those questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to President Brock, who can provide a brief on the policy committee.
Yep, so we met for over 2 hours going through these, almost line by line on every single one. Some of them were very extensively overhauled with some new legal language. So, and for all those board members that are new, this is the first reading. We do have a second reading next month. So if we have questions, it might be hard for Rob to answer them right now, where we're at, but if we have higher view questions, I think they're great for right now. If not, we can reach out to Rob. And if there's additional questions, because I know we've all received this, last Wednesday, and there was a lot of documentation to go through. If we have some more smaller questions, maybe getting those to Rob, and then if we need to call the policy committee back together again, we can do that, and then make another recommendation to the board. But these do not become part of our official policies until they get passed for the second time. So if there's any questions on that, but,
No, Thank
Okay.
you for your time, policy committee, because, boy,
yeah, there's
there's a lot.
There's a
And
lot in there.
so- And I'm a research geek, and so I just ask tons of questions. I'm sure you all love them. But I think, like, if there could be another policy committee, it would relieve the burden of Rob. You know, he does have other things to do, or like have a cow committee or something like that. That would be great. 'Cause
Yeah.
There are so many and lots of questions.
Yep, if you have smaller questions other than, like I said, Rob doesn't have all the answers right here. If you could give that to Rob, and then we can call another policy committee meeting if we need to, then we can do that and answer those questions. That'd be great to go about it that way. Okay, any other questions or anything?
No, I just wanted to say thanks for the transparency. It's a nice change and
Yeah.
very much appreciated.
Yes, very nice. All right, looking for a motion related to the board policies.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve policies Volume 39, Number 1, Volume 39, Number 2, and Volume 39, Number 1, Edgar Ugg, for first reading.
I'll support.
We have a motion by Mr. Winger and support by Ms. Hilton. Any discussion on the motion? All right, and Eric, is this a roll call? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you, board. All right, second chance for public input. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Is there anyone that would like to speak? All right, fantastic. Mr. Robbs, superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 5 things I'm happy to update the board on here, and this isn't one of them, but thank you to Human Resource Director, Mr. Washburn, for providing that update. That was important to us from the central office to make sure the board is in tune to our interviewing processes and systems to make sure everything's in alignment. And as I've said before, thank you to the board for committing to a full-time human resource director. We have almost 500 employees, and bless everybody's heart that's been carrying the load for the past several years, but it was much needed in this district. So hopefully that helps, ease some of the questions, and you see back to the word transparency of how our hiring process is going to work, because I know throughout the summer I had some conversations, positive conversations with some board members just on what that looked like. So that is in our administrative guidelines is what Mr. Washburn just went over. So thank you to him for taking time to prepare that. I know he has hours into that document, and that hard work doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you, John. Also, thank you to Robin. Thank you for coming tonight, to you and your crew. It just makes me smile when I see all the great things, and I can tell you from the trenches of our staff, they know how important you are and the value that you have. And as you said, giving back to the kids. That's why we're here. Every single one of us is here for the kids, and it's organizations like yours that go above and beyond and help us out. So thank you for that. That was a great presentation, and when you put a monetary value to it, it just makes my heart happy. So thank you. Now on to the 5 things that I have. I said it in an update last week, but it has been an absolute excellent start to the school year. Jamie is here, had a chance to meet with her and her group today and give them kudos today for the start, because it really is the folks that are in the trenches. We have had 2 weeks of smiles, of laugh, kids coming to school and learning environments. They're building, they're creating, they're engaging. Our staff is intentional on making sure they have lessons that are designed towards building and creating and engaging. And just a huge thank you to everybody. I'm not afforded enough time to talk enough on this, but it just has been an amazing start, and that is because we have wonderful people and we have amazing kids and families as well. So, and with that, thank you to the board for your support as we started this year as well. So it truly couldn't have gone any better. Now, on not as such of a positive note, it's my due diligence to bring you a state budget update, and there's nothing to report. So I don't know how closely you pay attention to what's going on in Lansing. You don't have to. That's my job to report to you on what's going on. They had some meetings last week, but failed to get anywhere. So really, here we are, September 8th. Quick math says 22 days away from October 1st. And there's really no sight of what this budget is going to look like. And for those that paid attention last year, we were in a similar situation, but not so late, where they pulled an all-nighter and passed a budget. And here it was. And my gut tells me we're going to see something like that again. The lobbyists that we work with, they're saying, don't expect a shutdown, but we have to prepare for a shutdown. And I'm not here to answer any questions on that because I don't know what that looks like and how we would do it. All I can tell you is we're having those conversations. If we don't get a state aid payment in October, what does that look like? We have enough fund balance to cover it, but still, there's more integral processes than that. So we're hearing they'll get it done before a state shutdown. Nobody wants that at the end of the day. But really what we're hearing from our lobbyists is there's two key components right now that they seem to be hung up on. And well, in our world, I should say, there's others as well. One is the school aid fund and shifting universities from the general fund to the school aid fund. That has always been a hot topic for many years, that do universities come out of the school aid fund? Should they or should they not? Us on this side of the K-12 world, we should say no, that's raiding the school aid fund. College universities, that should come out of the general fund and their tuition. So that seems to be one hinge point that we're watching very closely, because any monies to the university shifted out of the school aid fund will have a direct impact on us somewhere. And then also, for those that were around a couple years ago, we'll keep terms very simple, but they reduced the retirement rate in simple terms from 20.96% to 15.21%. They reduced that, so that's a cost savings for a district. There was some legislative measures to go along with that, but no long-term promises. We're hearing that's being discussed again, going from now what is the 15% back to the 20%, which would put a pretty big burden back on districts. So those are things that we're hearing from our lobbyists and our associations that we're strongly advocating for and or against, that let's not take dollars from the school aid fund for university, and let's lock in that retirement rate at 15% and not go backwards to 21%. So that's what we're hearing on the state budget update. Nothing promising except for hopefully it gets done before October 1st. Dave, you've been doing this a lot longer than any of us. I don't know if you've ever seen a budget situation that potentially goes to October 1st, but it's not super common.
And it usually happens last minute,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So this is a first for, many superintendents, and it's unfortunate. So state budget update. The next update I have, I reported out in a superintendent's report, but I also wanted to make note to those folks that are here, is just our enrollment update. It's very difficult to pinpoint the exact number of where our enrollment is at because there's so many variables. We're still enrolling kids that are popping into our district for whatever reason. There's still kids that are in our student information system, which is Power School, that have not been in attendance yet. And it's not as simple as just going and deleting them. We can't do that. There's benchmarks we have to do before we can drop them from our system. So right now we're tracking 2,994 students in our student information system. My gut tells me that will be a little less as we get to count day. Again, that's 2,994 students, because I know there's still some students that we're tracking, but I also know we just enrolled 4 new students last week that doesn't reflect. So I believe going back to June, Mark and his team did a great job forecasting into the future. Budgeting is very difficult in the model that we have here at Michigan, but I believe we budgeted for 3,024. So we're pretty close. We'd love to be on the other side of that. But bigger picture, we're also tracking the cohorts of kids that are leaving TK as a senior class in the 230s and 240s. And with birth rates being down around the state, for the past several years, our kindergarten groups have been 200 to 210. So that's going to become the new norm, just with birth rates being down. So that's something that we're keeping in mind as well. So overall, assuming the budget comes in our favor, and the House and Senate and Governor all agree to right around that 400 per pupil foundation allowance increase and don't take away significant categoricals, we should be in a pretty good spot. Noting, though, we did approve a budget with a $1.5 million deficit, and if we are down, that will be added to it. But we have full faith in our team that we will be cognizant of that as we move throughout the year, and we look forward to presenting a positive budget when we amend it and in the spring. So enrollment, again, for those that are noting it down, double check it, 2994 and counting as of last week. Next, we have a blurb for the enhancement millage. We're getting close to that point where we will be distributing some information across the district. So for those that don't know, we are part of Kent ISD, and Kent ISD is very fortunate, and we are blessed to have it, an enhancement millage, where we get additional dollars from that millage funneled through Kent Intermediate School District. So it is up for a renewal. It will be on the November 4th ballot, and the proposed millage rate is 0.9, the same millage voters approved back in 2017. So there's some fine tuning of words in there where it's above my ability to be able to explain it. Mark did it last time, where essentially it's the same rate that was approved back in 2017, but it has to be worded a little differently on the ballot because of some things that happen in some restores that have to take place. But essentially, it's a renewal. So if approved, this enhancement millage put on by KISD will generate $35.6 million, which for us is about $357 per student. If this doesn't pass, that is just over $1 million that we will lose annually. So this is huge for our community, for our kids. If you take a look around our facilities, one, that's credit to the bond work supportive of the communities. I say that gets you the initial beautification, such as this building here, but an enhancement millage such as this is what allows us to replace the boiler down the road if we need it, or to be able to replace infrastructure, a roof that might leak, because we don't have what's called a sinking fund, which would be another means to do capital improvement projects. So this allows us to do all those extras, and I brag about our facilities anywhere that I go, and it's because of these extra dollars such as this that we're able to have an absolute top-notch facility. So hopefully folks can get out and vote. We'll continue to put more information out there as we get closer, but we don't want anybody surprised on that. So we're starting to carefully plug information out there. The last thing that I have is the PTO Walkathon, which I've learned is one of, if not their largest and biggest event. We're looking forward to meeting with our whole team and the PTO committee in a week or so, but mark your calendars. That event is October 3rd. You all know more about it than I do because you've seen it in action. I've seen walkathons, but this will be my first time seeing this one. My guess is it's an all-day event, so if you're around, hopefully you can stop on out and see some of the good things that our kids are doing. So PTO Walkathon, October 3rd. I'll have that in a board update as well as we move forward and closer. So subsequent to any questions, that does conclude my superintendent's report.
Your 60-minute updates.
I was just going to say that.
Big hit.
Thank you.
On to board comments. I was going to shout out the 60-second updates.
Oh,
You, Rob.
60 seconds.
60 minute.
I don't
Now
know.
listen,
60
I'm
minutes.
looking.
Now
I'm
you're
looking,
challenging me. 60 minutes, no one
I'm
to
looking
watch it.
forward to this growing into a podcast where you bring on Mark every once in a while, maybe John, some of the teachers. Yeah.
Challenge noted.
Thank you, Rob. And I do appreciate those updates. I think it's a great way to connect with the community and get some good news out there. So, any other comments from the board?
When is the next count day? Do we know?
October 1st?
Yeah, it's
Roughly?
October, it's the first Wednesday in October. I believe it falls on October 1st. Let me verify.
Yep,
my-
that's October 1st.
Correct. October 1st.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, board. Thank you, team, for the work that you've done this last month. Look forward to another great month ahead. And we're adjourned at 7:45.
Daylight hours, not gonna be too many more coming up here. We're in daylight. We'll start.